Hey YouTube. Yeah, so this I'm doing trying some technology things here, so this might be a little bit bitty. Yeah, so the other day, probably the last few days actually, I've been kind of chopping up the same video into lots of different bits. This one, I'm hold on, I'm going to make sure that the audio coming. It is, yes, right. So picked up this guitar, but on the way in, I had some stuff to do, and I went to Blitzkrieg shop. And then I had to, the chap who had that was delayed his, that wasn't getting home for a while, so I had a couple hours to kill. Luckily I actually got home early, so I ended up only having to wait 10 minutes. But I'd already decided I was getting a kebab and all that. So same day, what I did was, from Blitzkrieg shop, which is on London Road, it's a couple hundred yards along the road from near the Barras where the Guitar and Merchant City Music are. So getting late, I don't know, about 4, quarter to 5, something like that. I parked up outside Merchant City and actually asked the guy in Merchant City if I had the GoPro in my head, if it was alright to film it. And he was like, yeah, okay. I didn't bother asking in guitar. So I'm just going to, let's have a wee look and see what was for sale. There was folk talking and stuff, so I do have the original audio and stuff like that. I might even, I don't know, do I bother stitching on the real audio at the end? If not, I'll something. If you really want to see the original video, put it up. So I'm just going to play it here, hopefully, and then talk about what we see. So if I pull myself down a little bit, like that, this is technical stuff, this. And if I hit media source, it should just start playing. So this is me. I've walked into Merchant City, which isn't in Merchant City in Glasgow, but it's the shop's called Merchant City. It used to be in Merchant City. So I went to the left and had a look at the bases. And if I just bang here, it should just be go. Typical, doesn't work. There we go. Haha. Yes. So obviously, first thing you see is that super glittery Reverend bass. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Ideally, I'd like to play this in slow. It's like 1,100 quid or something like that. But it's glittery. That's a Yamaha BB. It's expensive, 1,700 quid. It's very nice. And a Rickenbacker. I don't know if I've ever actually seen a Rickenbacker bass like that. Anything I found sort of interesting at the time, which I can't remember because it was the other day. I looked at. There's some Fenders 650. That'll be a Mexican one, I would think. Not so keen on the olive green thing, the yellow version of that glittery bass. So yellow. See, that's what I wanted to do, a Strat like that with the yellow with the white scratch plate. Not expensive for your Hofner violin basses. Well, okay, 650, 300 and 199 for a mini one. Oh, I got fed up with basses and moved on. SX guitars we were talking about the other day, they've got some. There's that Ibanez those Ibanez ones, they're really good. Oh my god, I'm walking through this fast. I didn't go into the acoustic room because who likes acoustics? Not me. Gretches, not my thing. There's SX Telecasters, 160 quid. Think they're pretty good. Apparently they are Jim Deacon. I don't know what we're talking. Mentioned it in the Jim Deacon thing, the Jim Deacon video. He wasn't happy with them when they started making stuff, which I remember them being crap, but the modern ones are pretty good. They're very similar to current day Jim Deacons. Oh, I didn't look at those ones. Onto the Fenders, there's people talking and stuff like that. I did feel a wee bit self-conscious having it on my head. Whoa, yeah, okay. Look at, there's that Ibanez. 400 quid. I'm sure they were only 300 quid. That's the one my pal Ian's got, the pink version of that, which I really, really liked. But I've got my PGM. Well, I don't have my PGM yet, but I will have my PGM. I'm going to adjust that camera down a little bit. I really like the colour of some of these things. There's that horrible... I'm sure it's very good. I don't really adjust that down very much. The one that looks like a toilet bowl in the corner, is it Acoustasonic or something it's called? There's some more on the Jazz Mastery ones. I just don't like the look of them. I'm sure they're very good. So they've got a fair range of Fenders. The anodized pickguard does it for me, to be honest. I do like that. I've actually got, if anyone... and I had to get a proper look at that. Probably more the colour. That's a mad looking thing, eh? What is it? I can't remember. Is it a Meteor or something it's called? I maybe read the headstock. Yeah, I wish I could. If there was some way of me pausing this and having a look at it. What about the Telly Jazzmaster thing? It's not really my thing. Even the one. No, I don't like that really at all. 1,200 quid. They're not cheap. I don't know why I'm looking at the back of it. I clearly am though. Well, doesn't really interest me, that one, to be honest. I like the green Charville, but again, it's just a strap. No scratch plate, a different colour. I don't think I'm in this shop for very long. There was someone trying to buy something, I didn't want to be getting in the way. And I went over straight away. There's the Gristle Master, which is the Greg Koch 20% bigger, or I don't even know if it's as much as 20% bigger than a Telecaster, but is basically a Telecaster, but it's got that raised bit in the middle the way a Firebird does. And it's 20% bigger because he's a really tall guy and he was fed up with folk coming up to him after gigs and going, is that a short scale? Is that a small Telecaster? And he's like, no, fuck off. Yeah, so these are Reverend again. Sort of mad looking, interesting looking guitars. Very 50s car looking. I always think, well, that's what obviously the aesthetic they're going for, which I suppose the original Fenders are 50s car looking. So mad ones. I'm kind of going over here because there's FGNs. There's a Ibanez Paul Gilbert. Grand. It's look how big it is. Look how small that headless thing is. Next to it, that turquoise thing there, looking a bit mental. Yeah. It's interesting. Van Halen, EVH one. I don't like look at that one either. But it's the FGNs I'm obviously looking at. They are, I think they're actually on eBay just now if you look them up. 550 quid. There's a maple neck one or a Ringme. They're very nice. And there's one of the more expensive FGNs at 1300. So I don't know how good they are. I mean, look, it's more than twice the price. Oh, it's 850 for an FGN standard, not the Boundary one. Mine's a Boundary, the cheaper one. Yeah, I think what Merchant City are doing, because they've got Guitar across the road, they're obviously having to partly go to and get things in that Guitar don't necessarily have. Notice there's no Gibsons. They obviously don't have a Gibson deal, or possibly even there wasn't as many Ibanez in here or on a Guitar when I walk along there in a minute as I expected them to be. Maybe Ibanez are maybe just not as popular as they should be, I think is probably the answer. I'm just salivating. I don't need another FGN, but I mean, it's like, they're awful good. But my thinking is, they won't like me saying this. I love this shop, but they're on eBay, and I think it's those exact ones from getting sold by Merchant City for $550. So I'm sitting there thinking, it's $550 there, right? It's $550 on eBay. There's obviously fees on eBay and postage, with free postage on eBay. That must count for something, so you maybe get them cheaper if you actually just went in with cash into the shop. Well, maybe I shouldn't be saying that, but I mean, I just feel that obviously it must cost them 20 quid to post it, and it must cost them, was it 10% of 500? It must cost them 50. So I mean, you might find you can get one for under 500. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Or maybe they've got some special deal with eBay or something, or there's a hidden price that I've not noticed. So I'm just looking at the amps and stuff like that. Amps. It's very difficult to buy new amps, I think, looking at these, just the prices of them. I think Merchant City are they're probably really good prices for what they are, but even ones you kind of go, oh, that's quite nice, like a wee 10 watt, and it's like 500 quid, it's like, it's kind of more than I would ever spend on an amp. I wanted to see if my wee orange was there. You see me looking at the oranges a bit. These are all solid state, which are apparently really meant to be really good and really well voiced. They're not all solid state, but the ones at 150 quid are. And you look around and you say, oh, there's a nice cabinet that's black. It's kind of like, it's a 500 quid. Like, what? I think, to be honest, that's me kind of about done in here. I felt a little bit weird having the thing in my head. I always like the folk that worked in there. There's a Panda across the road. I think I might actually go to the Panda and then decide whether I might actually put the original audio on here because I'm talking. Obviously, I didn't want to talk in the shop because I felt like a right moron. That's why it's good having Scott there, because I could talk to him so it doesn't just look like me talking to myself. Yeah, okay, I decided just to go to walk along. That's Shipka Pass on the right, which is the oldest part of Glasgow. There's nothing really left there anymore. This is me just walking down to, I don't know, I pointed at something there. It's 5 to 5, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh, what time do these shops going to be open to? Is it even going to be open? Obviously it's dark. I know that. I wish I could fast forward this bit, but I can't. Yeah, so on the left there, that's quite a good wee chippy. You can get like a rolling fritter for £1.20. It's exactly what you want. You just want something to eat just now. And on the corner there's Tron Porn, or it's not called Tron Porn, but there's a pawn shop on the corner on the left. And some rain. It's raining. It was raining the camera. Yeah, so maybe just and if you go down that road on the left there, Shawarma King, be down that direction a couple hundred yards. I think did I not actually go into the cash converters or the cash generators on the left at one point? Like coming up soon. I think because it's coming up to 5 o'clock, obviously all these places are closing, and this is 5 o'clock on a Tuesday night. Let's be stuck in the middle of the road trying not to get run over. Looking again, it's now 5 minutes. It's now 5:02. Like, this place is going to close in 5 minutes. I think I might have actually said to the guy in guitar I was filming, and the guy was very nice, an American guy. I mean, the folk in guitar, the actual staff are very nice as well, and that's the big pawnbrokers. Which is, if you go in and it depends who's in. There's a guy who I think owns it who's a bit of a grumpy. He always seems to be sitting fixing watches. He's a bit of a grump, but there's other folk in there that are quite nice. You're possibility to get a bargain in there. This is just a cash converters. What was the one I saw that I thought was quite good? That C219. It's a Schecter. It's got Seymour Duncan's in it. That doesn't seem like an awful lot for a Seymour Duncan equipped guitar. I think I point out a guitar here which is they go 40 quid for that looks like Blacktooth Fox's was it an ESP or LTD ones he likes. 40 quid. So, I mean, it must be crap. There must be something wrong with it basically if it's only 40 quid. I can't really see how you can buy a guitar in a shop in 2023 for £40 that works. You know, it can't work. Maybe it does. I think it was a Glary actually, so maybe they're not. I've never actually played a Glary. I've not really any desire to really. So that's the digital guitar on the right, and on the left's the acoustic shop. So I'm going into the electric bit. All the pedals on the right. I think I talked to the guy going in for 2 minutes just to say, I hope I don't do my usual. Are you looking for any particulars? I hope I don't see anything I want. I can't afford it, but I might see something. I think we've asked him about the Ibanez. He was a nice guy. Trying not to notice that I've got a camera in my head. Yeah, an American. Right. So whatever he was saying something about I'm looking at Ibanez, and he was telling me all about the shop, and it's like pure, yeah. It's like I know what everything is. Well, he did tell me that what they've got is they've got he told me there's the second hand bit is now downstairs, which is quite good. They used to always be interspersed, so you'd be looking through guitars and then there'd just be ones that had like a yellow label on them that would be pre-owned. And I've gone straight for the Ibanez. Yeah. Not a huge range they've got, not as many as I thought. These are I've seen these. I think some of these are the new models. But it's obviously there's your yellow that I pointed to because it's awesome, and there's a Pia. It's like 3,300 quid though. I mean, that blue one, what's at 1,700? Is it the S EZ? I've seen a few videos on them because Ibanez have just released another new range. That pink one, I think that's Jackson. I think that's a hideous shape. Yeah. It's nice to look at these things. The problem is it's just the prices. I think maybe just because it's after Christmas, they've maybe there's that horrible the one that looks like I've actually got a video of one. Is it called a tulip or something? The K tulip. The one that's if I could point to it, I would over there. There was a big hoo-ha about it because it just looked like an old Japanese guitar. I didn't even look at the Gibsons. That's how much time I gave them. A yellow again. Yellow's very nice. Special offers. Hopefully that the quality of this video show up and you'll actually be able to see what the Well, you can go to their website and see what the prices of these things are. These are the ones they've got in stock in Glasgow. There's very much an AZ Telecaster up there. Well, that's not the one with the bent. They did one, was it last year? It's got said look like a penis. It's like, the Telecaster control plate, but it's kind of bent looking. Yeah. And there's a big pile of tellies that all look the same depending on how beat up they are. I went straight to that. That looks quite good, doesn't it? I'd imagine that's a Japanese one. It's got that look. And a Primal Scream one. Why you would want that? Some people do like Primal Scream. They don't really do it for me. First gig I ever went to, Primal Scream, at the Barras, which was actually only about 500 yards along the road from this shop. Yeah. I mean, it's quite a nice selection. I don't think they've got the same amount of guitars they used to have. They used to have an awful lot, like probably twice as many guitars in the shop. But I think there's a lot of this. There's the table with the guitar that looks like it's being set up on it, which let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that yes, that guitar is in the middle of getting set up, because obviously they take the guitars out the boxes and then set them up. It's not just they just always have a guitar sitting there, so it looks like that's what they've done. The bass things, but not that many interesting basses. Quite like the purple one, but I think I just look at these and it's like it'll be thousands of pounds, or it's a cheap one. I did look at that bass amp. That's the Glenn Hughes purple. How much is it? It's only 250 quid. I think it's only 30 watt or 50 watt. 250 quid. Now the one I've got cost that after the end one cost 30 quid, so I'll just use that. But I really quite fancy that wee purple one, and a 50 watt amp is big enough for gigging, assuming you've got a decent sound guy. I mean, I could easily have used that gig we did in Paisley. That was an Epiphone at 1,200 quid or 1,100 quid because it's got Gibson humbuckers in it. It just seems crazy to me. It just seems. I mean, I'm a bit of a basses for me really. Modern ones, the only ones I really like are P basses and jazz basses, really, and that seems to be pretty much what they're selling them in. Again, they just seem to have a huge range of very expensive guitars, but I think that's just the era we live in. It's like unlike that wee Jim Deacon shop in Hamilton where all the guitars were sort of a couple hundred to 500 quid, or I think the most expensive one was like 450, but they had lots of choice. In here, you've got lots of choice, but you don't have lots of choice if you've only got, well, in saying that, they've probably got them in boxes out the back. Do you have this one in a different colour? This is the second-hand section. The Levinson Blade, 1,500 quid. I don't even think it was a Swiss one. Yeah, it was a Jim Root. So this is they've actually got a second-hand section. Second-hand section wasn't as underpriced as it was in the past. I was in here. I bought my Washburn 8-string bass for 250 quid. It wouldn't be 250 quid now. But then again, I don't know. Maybe after Christmas, these are the ones that nobody bought at Christmas. I think there's something to be said for the whole idea, the way they've got the guitars. I thought this when I was in the shop. They're stacked sort of side on. You could fit those 3 guitars on that wall all facing flat on, like those Les Pauls are. When you've got them side on, you need to have more guitars to fill the space out. I thought that upstairs in the Gibson bit, they had the SGs that were all sitting at a 45-degree angle, and it left gaps between them. Whereas if you just flip, the heads probably turn on those, those holders. To have them all just sitting flat, which I think would just be a better idea. I think that's sort of me. I mean, I don't know what sort of video this is going to be. I have done videos of this, but I kind of want to use it in my live stream first. Bass repairs, yeah. That used to be downstairs, the bass repair bit. See, that's a left-handed SG sitting there. Oh, that was that then. Yeah, so, sorry that wasn't super interesting. A good old Saturday night. I'll make myself bigger again. Can I just click on that? No, that's the wrong one. Oh, come on. in the corner, and I grab that. I can go up, and there we go. Yeah, so not much of a video, but I don't know. It's not interesting. So it was an interesting day anyway. I was going to try and squeeze all that into one. Just walking about and stuff. So currently I'm sitting. I've fixed up the Yoshi, which you saw in the video. This is actually an opportunity for you to see it up close and in good condition. So tomorrow night on the live stream, I'll be playing this a bit, and then on Monday, depending, well, yeah. So this is it. An up close thing. If I turn this around, you can probably still hear me talking as well. So there we go. There's your. It's got a veneered headstock. I managed to cobble together enough to get a tuner that looks. You would never know that one of those tuners wasn't original. They all look the same. Yeah, look at I can't see it because I'm in front of the camera there. So, I mean, it's a lovely piece of wood, and when me and Scott were talking about it, see if you look there, you can see it looks like there's a sort of like a line there where it's a veneer. It's not though, because if you actually, it's not wanting to zoom in on it quite enough, is it? It's struggling. You can see the grains of the wood going through it. Gotoh branded pickups, brass bridge, coil split, bit of buckle rash in the back. Made in Japan, obviously. Yeah. Aye, so maybe a little bit of you can watch the other videos from the last couple of days. It's not on. I'm just finding that the more I play this, the more it's coming back to life. It definitely happens with guitars. It's not been played, and I'll preempt the video where I say 1985 for these. The Grant ones were, I think, might be a bit later. Apparently, I looked up Wayne's Yoshi guitar page and actually read some information. Actually, he had the Yoshi page up and running before I knew him, because there's a video there's a comment I made from 8 years ago talking about Washburn wings, and I didn't have one at the time, so it's like I now have got them all. Yeah, so the serial number, I've noticed that the serial number, this is 10513. All the ones on Wayne's page are all start 105. So there might not be that many, but apparently Grant used to sell them. So what my latest theory is that Grant sold these guitars. They were excellent from 1982. Somebody said they had the receipt for it. They bought one in 1982. So which kind of fits in a little bit better, because 82 is the peak of the for me, 82, 83 is the peak of the Japanese stuff. They were kind of just starting, but in 1980 there wasn't that much kicking about. West Tone weren't about yet, and all that. And then by 82, that's when the best, I think, came out. When they were actually quite not cheaply built. They were less well spec'd. The late 70s stuff you get is really expensive, and they started getting a little bit more fragrant with them. By this point, there's an Aria Cardinal looks a little bit like this, and it's just got the ultimate Japanesiness of having cream humbuckers, a coil, funny switching, and all these things. It fits very well to be an 82 or 83, which I think what happened was Yoshi stopped making them or something, and Grant used either the same factory to get more of them because they were good, so we'll get our own ones in. Instead of selling, we can't sell the Yoshis anymore, which sold really well, they were really good. I need to find more information out about these, and then they maybe, I don't know, did they buy when the company went under because they were in contact with them? We were a dealer, and maybe said, "Oh, we're stopping selling them anymore. We do have some to sell off." Or I was like, "What happened to the ones that you haven't sold yet?" Blah blah blah, and maybe those are the ones that get repainted as Grants, or maybe they were some sort of subcontract under Yoshi to build them, and Grant spec'd them lower because they're quite basic, the Grant ones, as opposed to no that is I think that would be the lowest level Yoshi, bolt on neck, but it does have the fancy wood and stuff like that. Whereas maybe you could make them out of lesser wood and still keep them bolt on, and basically the quality is the same, but it's not as, you get the impression it's not quite as expensive. That's good Gotoh branded pickups. This has got pickups which I think are identical, apart from they're not Gotoh branded. They're also a slightly different colour. And so there's quite a lot going on there we don't really know about. But the other Yoshis I've seen, all the Grants I've seen like that. Well, to be honest, there's not really that many. I own 3 of them. Scott's got 1. Wayne's got 2. Does Wayne have 2 or only 1? Wayne's got 2. So that's kind of all of those I've ever really seen. I was going to say I saw a silver base once, but I ended up buying that 2 years after I first saw it because the guy bought it at the page. And there was a blue fretless base, but that's all I've ever seen with the Grants. And they were all bolt on, whereas the Yoshis, this one's bolt on, but Wayne's got a set neck one, which kind of looks very similar to this. And he's also got a through neck one, which kind of has the same wood that my Washburn base has. The really, really figured ash on the back, not so much on the front. So I think there's more of a range. They're all this shape, but there's a set neck and there's a through neck version of something very similar to this. It's really the only thing you could really do to improve it. Really, it's just rock solid. Anyhow, enough ranting about that. I'm sitting there. I'm really pleased I got this though, because it's I bought the PGM. I'm sitting here with my Roadster, which I'm going to be playing as well. Enough a good guitar. My PGM Paul Gilbert model, which I bought on the 1st. The guy was away. This is one of the issues with when you buy things that are buy it now on eBay. I can't really complain. You buy it on Magmoney and the guy was away. It was like, fair enough, really. Or I bought it on New Year's Day. Fair enough. Whereas if you're buying something that ends on a Friday, that if you're putting out an auction that ends on a Friday, you should really be able to post it on Monday, sort of thing. Whereas on the buy it now thing, it's been up for a month. You can't just go, I'll always post it tomorrow, sort of thing. The guy he got back to me. He was meant to post it on Thursday, and apparently he organised UPS and they never turned up. And then he tried to get them again to come on Friday, and they never turned up. So basically, it's not getting posted till Monday. So I've got to hold off before I get my PGM, which is going to be fighting with this for. It's not going to be fighting with this. It can't be as good as this. Actually, I found. I'll talk about it in the live stream tomorrow. Roadstar prices. What's going on? Yeah, I'll talk about it in the live stream. Somebody remind me. But cheers and rock on. And this was a bit of an interesting one. I need to work out how to use this picture-in-picture thing a little bit better. I'm sure it can be done. I've also got to try and set up mics so I can record the sound a little bit better. I quite like the idea of having, see when I'm doing the jammy things, having the bass amp coming out one side and the guitar amp coming out the other. So it's the bass amp and drums on the right and then the guitar on the left. Make it a bit more interesting. And hopefully that's the sort of thing I can spend an afternoon setting it up and then that's it on. I never have to really adjust anything or, slight adjustments after that. But once it's set up, it should just be set up. I don't know how I'm going to do the miking. I'm alright with this. But I'm going to use this mic. This is my an AKG. But it's great because it's sitting on this piece. It was actually I think it's part of the digger. We used to have a digger. And this was in the trailer. Some sort of bracket. Painted it black and stuck this gooseneck mic on it, so it's really good because I can just slide it in and it just sits there and I can just angle it and put it right into the speaker. That's great. Whereas trying to make up another one, I'm going to have to try and work out somewhere. I really don't want to have mic stands because there's sod all floor space in here. I'll just kick over them. So I'll probably make something somehow that holds a mic in front of the amp. I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that yet. I really only need another one though. But anyhow, enough talking. How much have I managed to do? I managed to make it last half an hour. Rock on. Catch you later.